Okay, so one of the questions that I get asked an awful lot is, Pratik, what is the best smartphone under rupees 15,000? Now, the answer to that varies from time to time, but of late, it was usually a Xiaomi phone or a Realme phone. So, can Samsung's latest Galaxy M21 actually break that tradition? And is this smartphone a better deal over the M31 which was launched a while ago? Well, I plan to answer all of these questions in this video, so without any further ado, let's get on with the full review of the Samsung Galaxy M21. But guys, before we get on with the video, make sure to hit the bell icon and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already, so that you don't miss out on any awesome tech content that we put out. Now that you've done that, let's get the show on the road. Samsung's Galaxy M series of smartphones have not really seen a lot of innovation in the design department.
In fact, when compared to its predecessor, the M20 or even its immediate successor in the form of the M30s or the M31, Samsung has maintained more or less the same design ethos within the entire range.
The M21 has been constructed using the same blueprint, so I guess you could say that the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
Jokes aside, the M21 has been constructed using polycarbonate, which doesn't feel very premium in the hand, but it does keep the weight of the phone down by quite a bit. And that's crucial because the M21 packs a massive 6000 mAh battery. Now I'll talk more about that in the subsequent sections, but spoiler alert, the M21 has phenomenal battery life. Coming back to the design though, the Galaxy M21 is very ergonomic to hold and you'd have to be really clumsy to drop it. The smartphone has a curvy back with chamfered edges and it's relatively narrower when compared to the competition too. Plus, the buttons have been positioned really well, so you won't have to do any hand gymnastics if you're trying to reduce the volume or reach for its rear-mounted fingerprint sensor.
Oh yes, the M21 also comes with a capacitive fingerprint sensor at the back, much like the M31. And let me show you, just let me wipe the back of the phone because it smudges so easily. And there, all shiny now.
So, the fingerprint sensor on the M21 is great. It's fast, responsive, and extremely accurate. In fact, the M21's capacitive fingerprint sensor is actually speedier than the in-display sensor on my S20 Plus. So if all you're going to do is unlock your phone, then yeah, the M21 is a better phone than the S20 Plus. Oh, and the phone's face unlock is rapid too. Samsung gives you a bunch of instructions when you first set it up to make it quicker, but even without allowing the software to unlock the phone with my eyes closed, it was still pretty rapid. I'm also really glad that the M21 comes with a headphone jack. Now, it's not the fancy kind, but given the phone's asking price, I really can't complain. And I never thought I'd say this in 2020, but the M21 has no camera bump.
So summing up the design section of the M21, well, the smartphone looks boring, firstly, and the back of the smartphone smudges really easily too. But at the same time, it comes with a good assortment of ports and buttons which function really well, and it is quite ergonomic to hold as well. So let's talk about the phone's display now. So moving on from the design of the M21, let's talk about its display. And honestly, there's quite a lot to like about it. Firstly, the display on the M21 measures in at 6.4 inches, meaning it's not too small or too big and is just the right size for media consumption on the go.
Secondly, the panel comes with a Full HD Plus resolution and is backed by Samsung's Super AMOLED tech. So if you love seeing punchy, contrasty colors on your phone screen, then the M21 will not disappoint you. The screen is also Widevine L1 certified, ensuring you can stream content in HD from platforms like Netflix and Prime, and it also has good viewing angles, no major color shift issues when you view the screen at an angle, and it gets bright enough to be used comfortably outdoors too.
But even if you factor all these amazing things about the M21's display, I still don't like it as much as I like the display on the Realme 6. Why? Well, because it does not refresh at 90 Hz.
But that's just my personal preference, and I will admit that the AMOLED screen on the M21 does offer a better media consumption experience.
So the Samsung Galaxy M21 ships with the company's 9611 Exynos octa-core processor, which is the same CPU you'll find on devices like the M30s or the M31 or the A50s. Now all of these phones are pricier than the M21, so if you look at it, you're actually getting a pretty good deal here. Now, even though the processor is a bit old, it's still very capable.
The benchmarks will be on your screen now, and while the M21 scored less than competing phones, it still managed to do all the things I need a phone to do. So editing videos on Vita, photos on Snapseed, multitasking between a couple of apps at once, opening two apps in split screen, everything. The process was slower and it wasn't lag free, but I've come to expect that from a budget Samsung phone. When it comes to gaming, the 9611 processor can play PUBG at HDR and Ultra settings and Call of Duty at high settings. And barring the slow game load times, I don't have much to complain here. The gaming performance was really consistent in the sense that once the game had loaded, I didn't notice a lot of lags or stutters. I did have to play PUBG at HD graphics as it was lagging quite a bit at HDR preset, but once that was done, there were no drop frames even during intense gunfights.
Also, the phone doesn't heat up all that much during long gaming sessions, and let me assure you, the M21 can last a long time. Now, the smartphone comes with a 6000 mAh battery, so if you look at it, this is actually a power bank with phone features in it.
During my time with the phone, this device lasted me almost 2 full days of a single charge. It was at 100% in the morning when I started using it to connect to friends, watch videos online, listen to music and game, and I plugged it back in at around 5 in the evening the next day, which is a pretty good run.
The only downside of having such a big battery on the Samsung Galaxy M21 is that it takes an awful long to refuel. Now, during my time with the phone, the smartphone took 2.5 hours to go from 0 to 100%, which is just an awful long time to just stay tethered to the wall charger. So the Samsung Galaxy M21 ships with a triple camera setup at the back comprising a 48 megapixel main sensor, an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle lens with a 123 degrees field of view and a 5 megapixel depth sensor. For selfies, the phone gets a 20 megapixel front camera.
Now, as far as the camera performance is concerned, the M21 takes excellent photos from its main sensor provided you have sufficient light to play with. Now, as you can see from the sample shots I've attached, the photos come out crisp, the colors appear tasteful, and the close-ups offer a good depth of field too. Plus, quite surprisingly, the M21 doesn't botch up the reds, and if you take a lot of photos of the sunset or just landscape scenery in general, then you will be impressed with the phone's dynamic range too. There's plenty of information in the shadows and the smartphone keeps the exposure under control too. The depth sensor allowed me to take some really good portrait shots, but the blur effect did creep into the parts that should have been in focus at times. The ultra wide shots honestly don't look as good and there's a lot of noise along the edges. Also, I'd like to mention that you won't be able to tap to focus onto a subject when clicking photos with the ultra wide angle lens as it comes with a fixed focus. Now, I also wasn't a huge fan of the 48MP shots from the Samsung Galaxy M21, which didn't allow me to turn on HDR. Although the sensor did squeeze in more details, the colors didn't have the same appeal as the ones from a pixel binge shot. Also, for some odd reason, there is a huge color temperature disparity between the wide angle, the ultra wide angle, and the 48MP shot. Samsung, you need to fix this. The low light performance of the phone is average too. Enabling the night mode will get you a serviceable image, but I'd recommend you keep your expectations in check when clicking photos at night with the Galaxy M21. As for selfies, the M21's 20 megapixel front camera did not disappoint me. The pictures look crisp once you have disabled all the beautification features, and the photos rarely had any exposure issues. The portrait mode for the front camera could have been better though, as it blurred my hair too, but everything considered, you're going to enjoy clicking selfies with the M21. Coming to the videos, the M21 will let you shoot 1080p and 4K videos at 30 FPS. The lack of 60 FPS video recording is a little disappointing, but the 1080p clips look great thanks to the company's built-in EIS. Now, I will recommend you not shoot videos with the anti-shake feature though, as it completely screws up the dynamic range in the frame. You also can't shoot videos with the ultra-wide lens on the M21, so there's that.
So software-wise, the Samsung Galaxy M21 is running Android 10 with a custom skin of the company's One UI on top.
The software experience on the M21 is pretty much the same as you'll find on recent Samsung phones, and much like other phones in the M or the A series, the M21 also comes with a ton of bloatware, which thankfully can be uninstalled easily. The good thing is that the skin does come with a lot of cool tricks up its sleeve, including a built-in theme store which lets you stylize the wallpaper or download a new icon pack and even add more clock faces to the always-on display.
Unfortunately, you won't get Samsung's Good Lock feature with the M21, which, if you aren't aware, is a really souped-up customization tool which you can use to customize the lock screen to the notification shade and much more on your Samsung phones.
But you do do get other staple Samsung features like a dock mode, navigational gestures, the dual messenger mode which lets you sign into your favorite social media app with a separate account, and smart pop-up view which basically expands a notification into a small windowed mode on your screen. The phone is running a little behind on the Google security patch update as it currently has the Feb version. Also, if you are not happy with the stock camera app, then as per Camera 2 API, you'll only get limited support for Gcam Port 2. On the bright side, the phone is Widevine L1 certified, comes with a pretty loud mono speaker, and the earpiece quality during the calls was top notch too.
So the Samsung Galaxy M21 starts at Rs 13,100, and for the price, this is the best Samsung smartphone that you can get. In fact, if you ask me, then this phone is a much better deal when compared to the M30s or the M31 because this offers the same display, the same processor, the same, in fact, a bigger battery and the same software experience when compared to those phones, and it costs less. So in that case, this phone is a no-brainer. But when you compare it to other smartphones, the story is a little different. Now, in my books, the biggest threat to the M21 success is the Realme 6, which for just Rs 1000 more offers a much better CPU. It comes with a more fluid display, faster wired charging, and a better camera setup as well. So simply put, the Realme 6 is just a better phone than the M21 for 1000 rupees extra. Now, I understand why somebody would want to buy the M21. Maybe where you live, e-commerce websites just don't deliver smartphones, and maybe you're just a brand conscious person and you want a Samsung phone and not a Realme or a Xiaomi phone. These are all valid reasons, and honestly, there's nothing inherently bad about the M21. It's a solid smartphone. But what holds the M21 back, in my opinion, is that it doesn't experiment. It's the same design with the same display as its predecessor, and the processor being used is not as powerful in 2020 either. With more and more brands identifying offline as a key factor to sell smartphones, Samsung can get away with selling a decentish smartphone like the M21 right now, but not so much in the foreseeable future. So, while the M21 is a great phone and I recommend it wholeheartedly, I do wish that Samsung would go back to the drawing board for its next M series phone. But guys, that wraps up the full review of the M21 from my end. Do let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give us a big thumbs up. Until next time, this is Pratik from Mr. Phone signing off.